All right, Dalton. So EA College Football 25, the next cover just dropped today, the standard edition cover, which has Quinn Ewers, Travis Hunter, and Donovan Edwards on the cover of the video game. The game is coming out July 19th, the first time in a decade, Dalton, that we are getting a college football video game. Before we get into the cover and what we would have done with the cover, dude, how freaking hyped are you for EA College Football 25 coming out?
Oh, you have to be. I mean, it's been 10 plus years. I remember playing it back in the day, especially the dynasty mode and everything that goes with it. Just with you can build it over multiple years and recruiting and building a team and doing all that stuff. I mean, you have to be, right? If you're a huge fan of Madden, you've been playing Madden all these years, you played the college football game back in the day. It's a boatload of fun. And even there's some people who say the game mechanics back then were smoother in the college game than they were in
Yeah.
Madden. So there's been a ton of hype and just a ton of speculation for years that this was going to happen. And I'm all for it, man. It's going to be just fantastic.
I mean, it's probably the most anticipated sports video game of all time. Now, probably not the most anticipated video game because I'm sure whenever GTA 6 finally drops, that'll take the cake. But man, for a decade, I mean, because every sports game comes out every year, we haven't had a college football video game in 10 years, man. So I cannot freaking wait for July 19th. It actually comes out a little bit earlier if you pay for the deluxe version, which I will be paying for. Just get it that early. But let's talk about the cover, man, for a little bit. So the cover came out. Quinn Ewers on the cover, Texas quarterback. Colorado corner slash receiver Travis Hunter is in the middle of it. Donovan Edwards is on the cover as well. The deluxe edition had more players in the background, like Carson Beck, Quinshon Judkins, Jalen Moreau was in the background as well. What would you have done for the cover? If they're going to go with the three athletes, let's stick to this. If they're going to go with three players, what would you have done? And what would have been your three players for the cover? Or even if you have a different idea for the cover, what would you have done for as well?
I think three is fine. Three is reasonable. So we'll stick with that structure just so I don't have to overthink it. You definitely need a quarterback, and I think you need a guy who I think about who's the face of college football. And it sounds funky, but you just saw the way that Colorado took the nation by storm last year, and hopefully they can win more games and extend that later into the season this year. And I know on the actual cover is Travis Hunter, and that's a great candidate. I won't take that away. But let's get the most recognizable quarterback in the sport right now, it's Shedeur Sanders, right? You just got a guy he makes the most NIL money out of anybody. He's the flashiest. His dad's the coach, and Colorado's got all the celebrity around it, and they just need. And look, he could be in line for another massive year. He could. If his offensive line is better, he could be in the Heisman race. So that's not just a backwards look. That's moving forward, going, Shadeur's an elite guy that we're talking about could be the number one pick next year. I would cut it right down the center with Shedeur first. I think next, a guy that we talked about in our running back rankings that might be the best offensive player in college football. Let's get Ollie Gordon, the running back from Oklahoma State. Doak Walker winner, nation's leading rusher, blazing speed, potential first-round pick next year at running back. He's the whole package, right? And we've talked about he could get even better. If he won a second straight Doak Walker, it wouldn't be all that surprising, and he could work his way into first round pick status, which is more and more rare for a running back as time goes on. And then a third one, I need a Michigan Wolverine because they just won the title, and Michigan is such a big thing, right? But I also need a defensive player. I don't want just all offensive players. I know they got Travis Hunter, and even then that counts as like half or something, right? But I think I need a Wolverine, and I need a defensive player and a guy who dominated the playoffs, and we think he could be a top 5 pick next. Let's get Mason Graham. Let's get some love for the
Get
big
some
guys
beef on there. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Football's won in the trenches, and I just can't. It's hard for me. I'm like, I need that combo. I still need a Michigan player, but I need a defensive player. And I go, let's do that. Let's make big number 95 the face, one of the faces of this college football game, and look, we think he's gonna have a massive year. He's a freak of nature,
Yes.
right? He might be like this past year. I kind of had Joe Alt as my safest pick in the draft in this past year. I think Mason Graham might be the safest pick. He would have been DT1 this year.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And he's the anchor, and they got a boatload of talent. They have Kenneth Grant, they have Will Johnson, they have all those guys in the secondary. But he's the anchor, man. Mason Graham, he's the best D tackle. He might be the best defensive lineman when it's all said and done this year in college football. Get a Michigan guy, get a defensive guy, show some love to the big guys. Let me have Mason Graham on the cover with Shedeur and with Ollie Gordon.
I don't hate that. I thought, if they're going to go with a Michigan player, Donovan Edwards is kind of a wild choice for a lot of people. We did interview Donovan Edwards, one of my favorite interviews ever, so I'm very happy for him. But I thought maybe Will Johnson might have been a better choice because, he's probably a bigger name than Mason Graham, and definitely a bigger name probably than Donovan Edwards as well. I would have liked Will Johnson there. My top three, though, what I would have done, I'm with you on Ollie Gordon. I thought not even having him in the background of the deluxe edition is a prime, man. This guy, I argue for him as the best player in college football. He's a Doak Walker Award winner. He's a running back as well. It's not like he's an offensive lineman or anything like that. He's the only player in college football who was the best at his position last year that's back in college football. So I think Ollie Gordon was robbed of being on that cover. I would have put Carson Beck as my quarterback on the cover. Plays for a big school in Georgia, is the number one quarterback in college football, in my opinion, as well. So I would have put him on the cover. And I actually think they got it right with Travis Hunter. I think for most people, Travis Hunter is the face of college football. He's unbelievable. In fact, he can play a wide receiver or corner at a very, very high level. And also, he's like a big presence on social media as well. So everyone knows who Travis Hunter is. Not as controversial probably as Shedeur Sanders is as of right now either. So Travis Hunter, I think, they got that right, Travis Hunter. I would have done Ollie Gordon and Carson Beck and my other ones. I wanted to give this one out to you, Dalton, quickly, though, and get your thoughts on this. I thought they should have done one, the standard edition should have been Nick Saban on the cover, kind of honoring the GOAT of college football as he retires. And then for the deluxe edition, I thought it would have been sick if to kind of honor the last decade of college football that we've had without this video game, to put every single Heisman winner since the game stopped coming out on the cover as a deluxe edition instead of just doing current college football players. What are your thoughts on those two potential covers right there?
I don't hate that. I don't, especially the second one there. I don't hate that. There was I remember there was a train on Twitter that wanted to rename the game Saban like they did with Madden. So I kind of don't hate that either. But no, the Heisman winners would be fun, right? In that time period, you're talking about Joe Burrow, you're talking about Devontae Smith, you're talking about I'm trying to think as I'm losing track of all the Heisman winners right now.
I'm trying to think of like when they stopped. Like,
Jaden Daniels, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, right? The first two picks in this year's draft, you almost have to have them on there, right? Derrick Henry, I think, was in that stretch, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I wonder where the last one was, but yeah. Like Mariota would be on it, I think. Like, I think that'd be the first one. I think Jameis Winston would have been the last one that we had, but
Jameis, you could have Jameis Winston. Yeah, I mean, no, that second one is a good idea. I wonder how you'd fit them all into one cover, but totally to have that as kind of the like almost like the hey, sorry, we were gone for a decade.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why, and obviously it comes with the NIL stuff and all that too, and likeness and whatever. But yeah, no, that would be a fun one just to see all those guys on one, and they're just all such great players, right? They should have been on the cover the same way each year.
I could see Saban because I know Bill Belichick did this, where Bill Belichick would always refuse to have his likeness in Madden. He's the only coach in the NFL who did that. I could also see Saban being like, no, absolutely not. I'm not going on the freaking cover of a video game. Like, I don't want that. Like, so I could see him refusing that. But the Heisman one, man, I would have loved that because like this cover that we have right now, which is really cool. Don't get me wrong. It's still a great cover by EA. I think they did a great job with it. But it's almost as if we've had this game for every year. It almost seems like a standard cover that we get out of Madden every year. It's like, oh, okay, this is another cover. It's like, no, dude, this has been gone for 10 years. You should be like, hey, like you said, sorry for being gone for 10 years. Let's honor the last decade of college football. It's a little bit weird that not even like really acknowledging that this game's been gone for that long. I think they really should have leaned into it and be like, hey, we're back and let's honor the history of it and all that. I don't know. I thought that would have been cool, but still a great cover by EA. We would have changed around some things in terms of the athletes they put on the cover. But I think overall, man, we are both so freaking excited for EA College Football 25, which is coming out on July 19th. So for Dalton Wasserman, I'm Max Chadwick, and we'll see you guys next time. We'll see you guys online in EA College Football 25 as well.